with the international community to have an intercultural exchanges to promote peace and to end up religiously motivated violence. We also work closely with our partner Holy Land Trust and also other non-violence organizations as part of the Palestinian non-violence organizations network, as well as we act as a platform for the peace education organizations that works in the area. So I mean, like, many things to talk about in this morning. I'm not going to be all the day long with you. My colleague Muhammad, who is working with us in our Visit Hebron Palestine project, which I'm going to talk about later on, is going to continue the tour with you today, which I hope that it will be full of information, and also it will build up a better understanding of one of the most, I would like to say, one of the oldest cities you may ever visit in your life. Hebron goes back to history for more than 5,500 years, comes second after Jericho in Palestine, which was celebrating more than 10,000 years old as like the oldest city in Palestine. And Hebron also plays a role as one of the three oldest cities, Damascus, Jericho, and Hebron, in the Middle East as one of the old Asian cities. So many things to talk about in the day. I will try to focus more. I will leave the historical and political side to my colleague Muhammad, who is going to go around with you. But you cannot live in Palestine without connecting all of these topics: history with politics, with your vision for peace, with your education that you would like to promote. So in addition of my role at my organization, and I brought the leaflet of the organization to distribute it to everybody, I also teach in different Palestinian universities. So I used to teach at the Palestine Polytechnic University in Hebron, Birzeit University in Ramallah, which is one of the leading Palestinian universities, and also as a part-time lecturer in different locations. I have a master degree in business and management, a BA degree in computer engineering, and I started my PhD studies on development, focusing on development in conflict areas, connecting development with promoting a sustainable, peaceful atmosphere in the conflict areas. So the idea behind establishing the organization which I represent, Volunteering for Peace, was that I lived maybe a childhood which is similar to what Muhammad lived and many other Palestinian youth, which was really difficult. I don't remember in the past, in my childhood, I had ever a time to go out to swim, or to go to a roller coaster, or to go to a beautiful public park like this. It was most of the time which I lived in my childhood was in the first Intifada. It was a very difficult, tough situation. My mother told me that when I was still like 1 week old, she was carrying me on the balcony of the house. An Israeli soldier shouted, "It's a curfew, you are not allowed to be in the balcony, you have to be inside the house." So this is how I started my childhood and my early youth time in an area full of conflict, full of difficulties, in an isolation, mostly indoor. Most of my life was at my home. Very rarely that you have a time that it is not a curfew, nor a strike, nor a difficult circumstances surrounding my house, that I am able to go out to play on the playground. Many times I played in the playgrounds and I was under weapons from Israeli soldiers informing me that it is right now a curfew, that you are not allowed to play outside of your home. I remember when we were children, we were playing this kind of the thief and police game. So we mostly try to make out of a wooden stick like a weapon for the policeman who is playing in this game. And I remember I was caught by the Israeli army accusing me that I am carrying a weapon, while it was still a small toy for children that we were using on the thief and policeman game at that time. So My childhood was completely a difficult time to remember. It was mostly an indoor, and it was mostly seeing violence, not only on the the TV, or from the windows of the house, or closing the windows because there is a tear gas bomb, or hearing the sound bombs all the time, but also seeing violence in the eyes of my family, on the eyes of my father and my mother, because they wanted me to live a childhood like other youth in the world, but they couldn't. They they wanted to give me the feeling that I live in a place which is secure, but they could not lie on me on saying this, because I can hear the sounds and I can smell the tear gas bombs. Then I started my education at school, and when you are at school, you hear thousands of stories, but you also live the difficulty. And I don't remember, I lost 5 of my classmates during my time when I was studying. One of them was just a student who was sitting next to me in the same chair at the school when we were in the 11th grade. We left home together. We were putting the backpacks and going back home. At that time, we used to have a local television station, and in this local television stations, we at that time there wasn't a satellite channel, so we were always watching the same channel, seeing the same thing that they wanted to show us. And at that time, I arrived home and I saw on the TV the photo of my classmate, the one who just sit next to me, but this time not as a classmate, but that time as a child who was 16 years old, who was shot by an Israeli sniper on his head, a shot like this, and they are asking the people on the TV, if you know who is this child, please tell us. And this was the most difficult part of my life. I asked my family, I told them, I know this person, he is the person, a close friend of mine, he sit next to me, we left from the school together, I arrived home and he continued to his home. And at that time on the TV they were asking, please, if you know who is that person, come to inform the hospital or call us in order to know about it. I know his family. I could not at that time at all go to his family and say, I would like to inform you that you lost your most beloved person, your child, because of an Israeli sniper who killed that person. But at the same time, I wanted also, things to go on. His family to be informed. I consulted my family, and my father said the best thing is that we go together to the hospital and to inform them about the name of the person, and then they inform him. This was a very difficult part of my life. And the next day I could not go to school, and the day after when we went to the school, we have to put like a symbol, flowers on the chair next to me. That lasted for 3 weeks. At that time, I was always thinking, are we at a childhood time, or are we at a war place? This person, I know him very well. He was very peaceful. He was just going home, and he was killed by this Israeli sniper. So I had 2 choices afterwards. Many things happened. I lost 5 other of my classmates because of the conflict. So I have 2 choices. When I get a scholarship to go to complete my master's studies, I studied in Greece, in Crete Island. And living in Crete, a beautiful island on the beach, seeing the sea for the first time, even though a country like Palestine located in the Mediterranean Sea, we also have a Dead Sea. The Red Sea is not very far also from the place where I live. And at all of that time, it was forbidden for Palestinians to go to that place without a permit from the Israeli army, which is impossible to get and which is very hard to go. So I arrived to an island. I don't know how to swim. I don't know anything about the sea, about the beach. I don't know anything about the seafood. And the people were telling me, are you sure that you come from a Mediterranean country? Are you sure that you come from a place which we consider on the other shores of the Mediterranean? I said yes, but I had never seen the Mediterranean in my life. I had never been to Gaza. I had never been to Java in my childhood. So I had never seen all of these places. So I come in 2 choices. One of the choices is either to think about violence and become one of the members of the Palestinian resistance and fight against the Israeli occupation, which I considered a right for the Palestinians because you live under an injustice and you live under an Israeli occupation, or to choose a second choice, which is non-violence, in which I try to promote a non-violent way of fighting against the Israeli occupation, a non-violent way of living, of describing what is going on around in my country, and trying to work on not letting my children and not letting anyone else of my Palestinian people live the circumstances which I lived. I don't want any of my children or any of the other Palestinians to live the same circumstances that I already live. So I chose this choice to become an active, non-violent, resistant, person, if you would like to call, in my life. So I established, together with other Palestinian youth volunteering for peace organization, as a non-violent organization, in order to promote non-violence as a way of life for the Palestinians first. Because non-violence is not only a demonstration yet that you go on the street or you hold the banner or you say it's enough or let's end the occupation, but non-violence is a way of life. Non-violence is a way that how you can absorb living under a violent situation, react to it in a non-violent way, but in a way that you are already describing the violence act that was acted against you, and you try to end it in a peaceful and a non-violent way. So this was the same way that I lived. And I started since I was in Greece on organizing activities like this. I succeeded to make over 25 trips for Palestinian children between 10 years to 15 years old to go to Greece to swim in the beach at that time, because it was impossible for them to swim in Palestine, but also to live a totally different life. I remember one of the children who already, came with us. We arrived to Greece. We had the host families, the same like the program that you had in the United States with the exchanges. At that time, we had children living with Greek families. So I decided to take them on one day to a public park that has roller coasters and other games. And then we went there. We spoke with the families, and we said, we are going to let the children play for 3 hours there, and then they go for lunch with the family. Sorry? Coffee? Yeah. So I remember we took them already at 10 a.m. in the morning. We're supposed to finish at 1 because the family is prepared for them lunch. We left at that day at 12 midnight. The children, they did not want to leave. The children, they said, we are really sorry, but this is the first time for us to to be in such an open, free space, and we would like to stay. I apologized to the families. I did not know what to do. We had to book lunch for the children at the public park, and we had to make a dinner for them also at the public park. They did not want to leave. We left very late in the evening, and the families, in the beginning it was very hard because they said, we prepared for them. We would like to show them the Greek life. I told them, it's not in my hand. It's something totally outside of my hand, because these children that we talk about, they did never have this kind of chances. In addition, also, we started a student exchange program. When I was teaching at the local Palestinian universities, we already established an exchange program with Amsterdam University for Palestinian Youth. Almost 100 students from Palestine traveled to exchange program at Amsterdam University, but also we received 100 students from the university in Palestine. So this was a dual exchanges. In addition to our work also on interfaith, being part of United Religion initiatives, and I was elected as a Global Council trustee of URI, and then I became the vice president of the United Religion initiative. All of this also promoted our work on working on interfaith. We organized different interfaith activities in Palestine, in Jordan, in Morocco, and exchanges in different parts of the world. With interfaith, I learned a lot about different faiths. So many people, and I know it may be shocking for some of you, many people think the conflict in Palestine is a religious conflict. Personally, I am totally against this kind of perception. I don't think so at all that the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is a conflict on religions, or it has any relation to religion. Maybe people use religion as an excuse, or it's people try to engage religion as part of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. But I had never in my life know people that they are engaged in this conflict, in the Palestinian side at least, because of religious perception. They may use religious perception as a way of acting, but the whole story here is about a story of land, a story of an injustice, a story of occupation. And many times you may hear mistakes from some of the Palestinians when they talk, when they use a vocabulary describing the Israeli occupation with a Jewish occupation, which is sometimes it's a problem of a vocabulary. But we know that the occupation in Palestine is a Zionist occupation, and people know very well how to differentiate between Zionism and Judaism as a religion. So I'm not going to talk much about this. I know that Muhammad will describe much about it, but I would like to hear if you have any questions. I'm here available to answer any general questions. I leave politics and the history to Muhammad. That before 1948 there was nothing called Israel, and then in 1948 the first Israeli occupation to Palestine came, occupying 78% of Palestine, leaving 22% of historical Palestine to the Palestinians. And then you go in history, and Palestinians at the end, they sacrifice and they say, look, we don't want to live in violence our whole life. We would like to live in peace. We accept a peace solution with the Israelis, that we accept 22% of historical Palestine as a Palestinian state, and 78% of historical Palestine we accept to have an Israeli state side by side with the Palestinians. This is what the Oslo Agreement says. This is what the Palestinian-Israeli Agreement says. Then the Israeli occupation says, yes, but 22% is too much for the Palestinians. We have to build up the cancer inside this 22%, which is the Israeli illegal settlements. And today you will see how a settlement look like. That we are sitting in this public park, and just in the second floor, Israeli settlers taking a control over a Palestinian house and converting it into an Israeli settlement. But we talk also about a settlement like Kiryat Arba in Hebron, which is taking a very large area of land for the settlement itself and for its security. So after the 22%, now we are on 11.5% of the, what we supposed to have a historical Palestine as a Palestinian state. But not only this, we have a divided state. We have a state that if you live in Hebron and Bethlehem, there is a checkpoint that does not allow you to go to Ramallah, Nablus, and Jenin. So if the Israeli soldier decided to close this checkpoint, you are totally not allowed to go to visit the other side. We talk about East Jerusalem as a Palestinian capital. That is a dream for Palestinians. If you ask today when you walk in the old city, 100 Palestinian children, how many times you had ever been to Jerusalem? Out of the 100, 5 or 10 will say I had ever been there because I am a little child. But if you ask adults, many of them, they had never been there, including my colleague Muhammad, who work with us. And I'm sorry, I forget to talk about our tours project. Visit Hebron Palestine was one of the projects that we started 6 years ago officially as a project to promote the tours and visits to Hebron. We are running for the last 5 years one of the most successful ever tours in Palestine. It's called the Dual Narrative Tours in Hebron. The Dual Narrative Tours in Hebron is a tour that consists of 2 guides, a Palestinian and an Israeli guide, that shows you the 2 sides of the story. You hear from Muhammad, you hear from Lena, you hear from other guides that we have in our team, males and females, about the Palestinian narrative, but you also hear from an Israeli about the Israeli or the Jewish narrative in the area. And then at the end, it's you, the one who decide which narrative you would like to buy or which narrative convince you more. So Visit Hebron Palestine is not only a tour project, but it's also a way of how to describe the geopolitical situation in Palestine in a totally different way, in a dual narrative way. So yes, the situation is very hard. I mean, many people around the world, they see on the media that it's a religious conflict. It's not. It's a conflict over land. when this conflict over land ends, I can be assured to you that we can be very easily very similar to any other place in the world, living in peace and no more violence in the area. Any other questions?
Let you take degrees. What is there? The reason I ask this is because we just had a conversation with a young person who simply will have nothing to do with the process. So, what do these young people when they come back? Have you followed them? What do they do?
Definitely, I followed them. I can give you one of the examples. One of the participants that participated in our exchange program, one of those young people, before we traveled from here, that was the first time ever they go outside of the country. So we left from here. She lives in an isolated village in Palestine that does not have electricity yet. So she was studying on candles light as a child, and then she traveled abroad. She go to a totally different area. In the first day, she had a cultural shock because she have seen things which is totally different in her life. She did not want to eat. She did not want to to do anything. She asked to go back home because this is totally a different atmosphere than the one she lived. So when we were there, we visited an organization, and normally, as part of the Palestinian culture, as part of also some of the religious understanding, some of the females, they don't shake hands with men, and maybe you had a chance to see this. So we went on an organization. A man offered to shake hand with with her. She refused to shake hand. I described the situation, and then things went on. Spending 10 days on that exchange over there, coming back to here, she finished right now the school, and then I was shocked. I received a phone call. I'm following them, all of them, especially now with the social media, with Facebook and so on. And then I received a phone call from her. It was very strange for me because she was very conservative and in the same time less social than most of the other members of the group. And I said yes. She said, I finished my high school and I get a scholarship to go to study in Jordan. So I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to travel abroad, because this was a first-hand chance for me to understand more about being abroad and encouraged me to go to study outside in another country. So I said, I wish you good luck. I'm happy that you did it. Because in the beginning, she did not want to go on the exchange. I mean, she said, it's very hard for me to travel. I forget the issue. The next year, I was traveling abroad. I put on Facebook, I am traveling. And she commented on the status on the Facebook. For sure, you have to pass by Jordan when you travel because you are banned as a Palestinian from traveling through the airports here in this country. So our only exit is through Jordan. I said yes. She said, I would like to invite you for a cafe to go together while you are in Jordan. For me, this was totally unbelievable thing. So when I arrived to the cafe, I said, hello, it's a pleasure to meet you. I would like to hear more about what you go in. She was the first one who put her hand to shake hand with me. And I said, what? She said, I totally live now a totally different, open-minded life. Right now she is one of the best students in her university. She traveled also to the United States twice. She traveled to Canada on exchanges at the Jordan University. So I see that most of those who were in this program, their life changed. But also many of them, they live in pain right now because they already saw how a normal life look like away, and then they come here to live under these circumstances of closure, of strikes, of violence, of hearing that you lose someone from the family, or someone is arrested, or someone is deported, or to hear about the 2 years ago, and last year the war in Gaza. You live here in a conflicting information around you. So yes, many of them had changed positively, and all of them are very active with us right now. All of those who were in the exchanges, when I announce about an activity that we organized, they are the first ones. And in 2 days, in the 21st of September, we are celebrating the International Day of Peace. We are organizing an activity in Bethlehem. So many of them are joining us. 2 years ago, we celebrated it together, you remember, at the family. Yeah, in Hebron, we celebrated at Palestinian family. Unfortunately, we cannot reach them today, either with the tour nor with the activities at Abed family.
Oh yeah.
Total now there,
closed military.
like all the area is a closed military zone that we are not able to visit the family nor the street, even at the Shuhada street at the area. It's closed for, it's banned for Palestinians to visit it. You can visit it with an Israeli guide. I mean,
I'll
with
tell you
the,
about it later.
so Muhammad will talk more about it. Which one? Sorry. No, the women's shop you can go to it, but
I mean, it's his first time out of the country and everything. He's never seen a river. He's never seen
Yeah.
anything. Eaten any kind of food other than mahmoud.
so
Yeah.
everything is strange for her. Yeah.
Yeah. But why I thought of it is that he says in Palestinian culture it's not rude to ask a person's age.
No, it's not rude. No.
Okay. It's really okay.
It depends if you will get an answer or not. No, it's
So
not.
your age or your income, like that's like the first question. Like how much money?
In Palestine,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
In Palestine,
It's
it's
really
a we are a democratic. We are a democratic community. You can ask whatever you want.
You can answer the way
Yes.
I do. Why, that's none of my business.
No, it's.
No, I mean, when people ask.
I said to them, go to my profile on Facebook to see it. Yes, go ahead. We organize twice a week, like every Sunday and every Wednesday, a dual narrative tour. It's mostly people that they book the tour online or they join us from Jerusalem through a tour operator that we work with. So it's mostly tourists and visitors who comes to the area. They are interested to spend an 8-hour tour. It's a long tour. That's why it was difficult to adjust the tour today with it, because it's a long tour and it's very hard, to adjust it with, with your program. But our dual narrative tour is an open tour for everybody. So many people apply for it, and I know that, Janessa, she know also our counterpart. We work together with Eliyahu, so we organize the dual narrative tour. So also our counterpart is a non-violence Israeli organization. But many times we also have tour guides on the Israeli side who are Israeli, right wing, if we can say, or Israeli settler, or Israeli, you can say radical somehow on their point of views. So in all our tours today, you will meet Mr. David Wilder in your tour. In all our tours, all our groups, they meet with him. So Muhammad can tell you much more about it. By the way, Muhammad today, and you will have today lunch at his family. Muhammad, he is coming from a family that I can say, I can consider his father as the president of Palestine, his mother as the queen of Palestine, and he himself as the princess, because he come from a family. He come from a family that suffer in a daily basis. His house is in front of one of the most difficult Israeli checkpoints you can ever see in your life. His family and he himself, witnessed the death of, tens of Palestinians who were sniped or killed by the Israeli army at that checkpoint. His, I was very sad to hear, many times from him, because he lives a life. I live a much better, free life than him. He lives a life where he cannot go out after, sunset. If his child is, sick, he may, have to hear the crying of his child 12 hours up to the next morning when the checkpoint is open to go to a hospital or to go to a clinic. So he lives in a place where difficulties encounter him minute by a minute. He has to, to hear gunshots in a daily basis, to hear the music from the Israeli settlers, the attack from the Israeli settlers. David Wilder, the one that you will meet today, and many of the other Israeli settlers, they attack him, attack his father's shop, and it's videos you can see on YouTube. It's not something that I talk about, it's videos that you can see. So his family story, which you will hear during lunch today, I guess. From him, from his mother, and from his father. is also something that, I take my hat, out with a big respect to him. His father received an open check with $10 million to sell his house, and to $100 million, check to leave his house for the Israeli settlers, and they refused. So Muhammad is an example of Muhammad family is an example of a Palestinian family that resists the Israeli occupation, and he keeps resisting it in a non-violent way by promoting, the peaceful, non-violent, tours that we are organizing today. So I'm not going to talk much about him. He will talk about himself much more. Any other questions?
What percentages of nationalities tours that you offer?
Who join our tours, the dual, 95% of the people who join our dual narrative tours are pro-Israelis, visitors. 95% who join our tours are Israeli narrative, and they come for the first time ever in their life to the West Bank. So it's the only tour that can accommodate people to join it, because it's a dual narrative tour. The tour changed many minds, and if you go on TripAdvisor to see the reviews, or to see the emails that Muhammad receive, or I receive, or the company receive about it, you will be shocked. People that they come with a very radical, Zionist narrative about the Palestinian situation. Many of those who join our tour, by the way, are Jewish, Christians, Hindus, Sikh, atheists, Muslims, whatever the religion that they come from. Many of those, very Zionist, view, radical, Zionist view visitors who join our dual narrative tour, they sent apologies email to us, and they say, we would like to, to express a word that we are really sorry for holding a pro-Israeli narrative all our life long, because the injustice that we saw in the place where you live makes us question many things that we thought about in the past. And many of them work right now in, on the world in promoting, initiatives to end up violence in the area. And most of them, I say 100% of those who joined our tour with Muhammad, they recommended to others. So we started our first dual narrative tour with 5 people. Last week with Muhammad or with Lina, I don't remember, we had 28. Was it? Yeah. So we are the only